Israel's failed plans to raise Palestine from existence. 126 years of conflict. 75 eventful years have passed since the beginning of the Israel-Palestinian conflict. It is a historical, political, and humanitarian conflict in Palestine. It began with the First Zionist Congress in 1897. The core issue revolves around Israel and its occupation of Palestinian land. In the 19th century, Arabian colonization encroached upon Arab lands, including Palestine. The Zionist movement took advantage of this situation, promoting the claim of Jews returning to the Holy Land. They established associations and institutions to find any evidence supporting their rights there. Herzl proposed Palestine as their original homeland, and the idea succeeded in 1917. British Foreign Secretary Arthur James Balfour sent a letter to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the Zionist movement at the time, known as the Balfour Declaration. It was the first step in favor of the Jewish plan, as the British government promised to establish a Jewish state in Palestine. Months later, British forces entered Jerusalem in 1919. The Zionist movement presented a plan for the settlement of Palestine, with support from U.S. President Wilson, France, Italy, and Japan. Starting in 1923, Jewish immigrants began to arrive in Palestine, acquiring land with the help of the British. By the beginning of 1929, the number of Jewish immigrants reached 100,000. This situation continued until May 14, 1948, when the establishment of the State of Israel was officially declared, without specifying its borders. 5 Arab countries engaged in a war with the newly formed state, resulting in the division of Jerusalem. The western part came under Israeli control, while the eastern part under Jordanian rule. In November of the same year, a demilitarized zone was established between the two parts, leading to an unofficial map delineating the borders between the parties. Then in 1949, ceasefire agreements were signed between Israel, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. In 1967, the conflict intensified and Israel occupied East Jerusalem. It was under Jordanian control and considered an integral part of it. They enacted a law stating the consideration of Jerusalem in its entirety as the unified capital of Israel, serving as the seat of the state, government, Knesset, and judiciary. Israel tried to change the Arab and Islamic identity and replace it with the Jewish one. Afterward, that were made to gain international recognition, but they failed. The First Intifada broke out, lasting from 1987 to 1993, leading to violent confrontations between the Israeli army and Palestinians. Numerous peace initiatives and agreements aimed at a peaceful resolution followed, but none of them succeeded, primarily due to Israeli stubbornness. Since the beginning of the issue 75 years ago, Egypt has played an extremely important role, surpassing efforts to achieve negotiations between the Palestinian and Israeli sides. Egypt has consistently advocated for a just and comprehensive peace in all international forums, supporting the rights of the Palestinian people and preserving their legitimate demands. Egypt has sacrificed thousands of martyrs in defense of the Palestinian cause, and its presidents have made undeniable efforts to resolve the issue, starting with President Abdel Nasser, who participated in the 1948 war and internationalized the cause. Gamal Abdel Nasser called for the Khartoum Summit in 1967, which rejected Israeli conditions for peace and recognition before the right returns to its rightful owners. In 1969, Abdel Nasser oversaw the signing of the Cairo Agreement to support the Palestinian cause, and in 1970, he called for an emergency Arab summit that resulted in a ceasefire. When President Sadat assumed office,
He took up the cause and called for its resolution after the victory of 1973. He succeeded in obtaining American commitments to compel Israel to withdraw to the 1967 borders. However, his efforts were met with rejection at that time, and the opportunity for a solution was lost, and the issue returned to square one.
Former President Hosni Mubarak made great efforts to support the Palestinian cause. In June 1989, he presented his peace plan, which included the necessity of resolving the Palestinian issue in accordance with UN Security Council Resolutions 242 and 338 and the Land for Peace principle. In 1993, Egypt participated in the signing of the Oslo Agreement reached by the Palestinian and Israeli sides. Egypt then played a prominent role in the completion of the Cairo Protocol in August 1995, which transferred certain authorities to the Palestinian Authority. Things did not change significantly after President Sisi came to power. Egypt's efforts increased.
Following the May 2021 aggression, Sisi directed the transfer of patients in critical cases for treatment in Cairo. The Egyptian Red Crescent also sent relief materials and medical supplies for the Gaza Strip. The Egyptian Ministry of Health prepared 3 hospitals to receive the wounded and injured coming from the Gaza Strip through the Rafah border crossing. Egyptians' efforts during Sisi's presidency succeeded in breaking 2 ceasefires in the Gaza Strip since 2014.
The Egyptian endeavors culminated in May 2021 with the successful ceasefire and unconditional cessation of hostilities in Gaza. Egypt donated $500 million as an Egyptian initiative dedicated to the reconstruction process in the Gaza Strip.
During the recent aggression on Gaza, Sisi reaffirmed his rejection of the liquidation of the issue and the displacement of Palestinians from their homes to Sinai.
He is actively seeking a just solution for the entire Palestinian people. The recent round of conflict, starting with the Al-Aqsa flood, witnessed a higher number of murders compared to the previous 15 years.
After that war, the world turned towards the solution adopted by Egypt years ago, which is a just peace based on the principle of the 2-state solution along the 1967 borders.